Hello, everybody. My name is Maik Müller. I'm working at PSW Group as a data privacy consultant. And today I would like to talk about the upcoming challenges of the hosting industry, namely the aPrivacy regulation, the Cybersecurity Act, and a first Europe-wide standard for data centers. There's a current aPrivacy directive from 2002 that does not cover over-the-top services like instant messaging, voice over IP, and video chat systems. Therefore, the aPrivacy regulation will exceed the level of protection of the GDPR, which you all heard of, namely in the field of electronic communications. If the aPrivacy regulation passes law, there will be a 2-year transition period, and the aPrivacy regulation will be valid in 2021 or 2020. Maybe later, nobody knows. That would be enough time for us to react. As you all know, the GDPR hit us surprisingly. Not. Users' communication should be confidential unless users allow companies to use their personal information and to process their contents of communication. Today, the GDPR allows tracking only if the user consents in the use of cookies. The aPrivacy regulation will go further. Tracking across websites, devices, even with new technologies like browser fingerprinting, flash tracking methods, and even offline tracking at stores in the city are subject of privacy protection and will be in the scope of the aPrivacy regulation. Both metadata and communication contents should be subject to privacy considerations. There's a gap between over-the-top services and traditional telecommunication companies. Over-the-top services have the right to analyze and to process personal information of users because the users agree to those services. If the users won't agree to the purposes, they won't be able to use those services. And traditional telco companies also want to analyze communication contents to implement new services, to implement new business models, for example. But they are not allowed to do so because of that old aPrivacy directive. There's a difference, regulation directive, the aPrivacy directive from 2002, which is now the current law. In addition to the GDPR, the aPrivacy regulation applies to all end users, namely individuals, companies, and associations. As the legal basis of the ability to process personal information, the user's consent should be more important than legitimate interests of the companies. That is the aim of the aPrivacy regulation, to turn that over. There's an ongoing discussion in the European Union about what will be regulated and when. We at PSW Group and my colleagues who are experts in consulting, because I'm a junior consultant, will help you to prepare for it. The aPrivacy regulation specifies the rules of the General Data Protection Regulation in some ways, namely in the field of electronic communications. And the data protection authorities have the same competences like in the GDPR context, and they are able to impose strict fines if companies offend against the aPrivacy regulation. But the aPrivacy regulation does not cover sufficient safeguards according to cybersecurity risks. Therefore, another law, the EU has agreed the Cybersecurity Act last December to ensure strong cyber resilience and to respond to cyber attacks. Cyber attacks cause an annual worldwide economic damage of 400 billion euros. Let's dive into it. Let me give you a short example of cybersecurity. Some of us want to ride with self-driving cars and open their doors at home without keys. And I don't want my refrigerator to be part of a botnet that attacks other machines. These machines should be secure to prevent hijacking and misuse. They also should not interfere with other machines. Therefore, these systems should adhere to security and privacy principles like privacy by design and privacy by default. And these considerations should be verifiable throughout the life cycles of these products and services. Also, privacy principles like data minimization, data aggregation. You see when a car drives, a lot of data has been aggregated. And another thing to mention is the repurposing of those data. For example, for other purposes, like in the health business, for example. When somebody drives his car drunken, and okay, you know, that means data aggregation and repurposing. Products, processes, and services can be verified regarding cybersecurity. Now, from the small things in those businesses to the big things, namely the data centers. Data centers play a big role in cybersecurity. There is a first Europe-wide standard for data centers, namely the DIN EN 50600, what a nice name, that addresses the fundamental parameters availability that you see in the middle and physical safety. And also another topic, the ability to achieve energy efficient operation. Therefore, the option to certify a data center benefits in comparability and transparency for customers. Despite the fact that every data center is different, this standard tells that it can standardize data centers. You all know if that will be true or not. And this standard will provide more opportunities for data center enterprises. And those opportunities lead to our services at PSW Group in Fulda. Our experts offer data privacy and privacy consulting. Information security is another big topic of our technical consultants. And also we provide training in those fields. If you would like to have more information, please come to our booth, R19, in the middle of the fair, and just get in touch with us. Thank you.